Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock, Drogheda. I'm here in my office at Ballymckenny Road. This room has wall-to-wall books, wall-to-wall and floor-to-ceiling books. It's a small enough office, but it's absolutely crammed with books. Now, of course, there was a time in years gone by when people would never have this many books, when books had to be written out by hand. And somebody who had more than 20 books was considered either a very great intellectual or somebody who was very rich indeed. Now, because of the printing press, of course, we've been able to multiply books so much more. But I love books. And, I love that. Have you ever seen the cartoon of Beauty and the Beast? Whenever Beauty is taken into the library and there's books everywhere and that sense of wonder. I always feel like that when I'm in a bookshop or surrounded by books. In fact, I will never forget when I had a friend came and visited me here in Ireland. His name is Elmer Towns from Liberty University. Now, Elmer is much older than I am, and he belongs to a different Christian theological tradition, and he's also very different from me in politics and lots of other things. But the one thing we really share is our love for Jesus and our love for books. And I took Elmer to Trinity College, and we went into the library, the long room, and all the books everywhere. And, he's just looking around with this sense of wonder. And I said, I know, it's great, isn't it? So I love books because books contain knowledge. Knowledge is a funny thing. There was a guy called Gottfried von Leibniz, and he lived at the beginning of the late 17th century, beginning of the 18th century. And Gottfried von Leibniz, he's known as the last of the polymaths. A polymath was somebody who basically was an expert in every subject. They knew everything there was to know. Because back in those days, people didn't have nearly the same amount of knowledge that they have today. And so you could actually be an expert in many different subjects at the same time. Something that's impossible now. Do you know, from the time of the creation of mankind up to Jesus, if you take all the total sum of human knowledge that was acquired from the Adam and Eve through to Jesus, for that amount of knowledge to be doubled took about 1,500 years. And then it took another 250 years for the total sum of human knowledge to double again. And then 150 years, and ever decreasing as mankind's knowledge increased exponentially. And today we are told that the total sum of human knowledge doubles every 13 months. And in fact, engineers with IBM have actually predicted that in another century, the total sum of human knowledge would double every 12 hours. Think about that. The Bible truly says there will be an increase of knowledge before the end. And now you can't hope to know everything. You can't hope to ever assimilate all the knowledge that there is. There's just far, far too much of it. But actually, the wonderful thing is this: while knowledge is important, there's something that's even more important, and that's wisdom. Wisdom doesn't come from books. And much as people like me like to think it doesn't come from having grey hair. Wisdom comes from God. God is the author of wisdom. And sometimes you can have all the knowledge, but not have the wisdom to know what to do with your knowledge. For example, did you know tomato is a fruit? We think of tomato as a vegetable, but botanically, a tomato is a fruit, which leads to the saying that knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put tomatoes in a fruit salad. So knowledge is one thing, but we need wisdom, and wisdom comes from God. The book of James says if we lack wisdom, we should ask, and God will give us wisdom. And my prayer for you today is that you will have knowledge. We won't be ignorant, but we will walk in the wisdom of God, and that God will give us all the wisdom we need to do what we need to do with the knowledge we've acquired, in Jesus' name. Please join us again tomorrow for another Take 5. Your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock, Drogheda.